Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Well, today we've got a bit of a grab bag.
Hmm.
We're going from microscopic genes that are hanging out in the soil
Yeah.
all the way to the way our neighborhoods are laid out and then
Uh,
to a court case in Australia.
okay.
So, yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I think you'll find it interesting, though.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things for me is how much research is being done that we don't even realize like touches our everyday lives in ways we just never even think about.
It's true. It's true. I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we're pulling on different threads of a giant tapestry,
Hmm.
and each thread reveals a whole nother part of the picture.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, okay, let's jump in.
Yeah.
First up, let's talk about this court case that just overturned a USDA rule on genetically engineered plants.
Okay.
Now, this rule basically exempted certain GE plants from regulations.
Interesting.
And since May 2020,
Yeah.
at least 99 plants fell under that category.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So, I think what's interesting here is not just the legal precedent, but, the public debate that it kind of reignites.
Right. Hmm.
The USDA, they argued that these exemptions were, for plants with modifications that could have occurred naturally or through traditional breeding.
Right. So like they weren't really doing anything that wouldn't have happened anyway.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But opponents argued that it lacked transparency
Hmm.
and could potentially introduce risks to the environment or even our food supply.
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it?
Right.
Like, how much do we really want to know about what we're eating?
Right. And how do we balance the potential benefits
Mm-hmm.
of genetic engineering with, any unforeseen consequences?
Yeah, because I mean, there's so much potential there, but at the same time,
Yeah.
we have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think, how much do I really want to know what's in my food?
Right, exactly. And are we going to reach a point where it's like, too much information?
Right.
Or is there a level of, comfort that we can reach where it's like, okay, we know what's going on. We're okay with this.
Right. I think this case really highlights the need for clear, understandable information
Yeah,
about GMOs.
for sure.
Consumers deserve to make informed choices, and that requires open communication
Yeah.
from scientists, regulators, and the food industry.
Transparency, I think, is the key word.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's talk about our neighborhoods.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
you might be surprised to learn that researchers use twins to study the impact of walkable neighborhoods.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
So I know it sounds strange,
It does a little bit.
but using twins lets researchers control for genetic and family influences
Oh, right.
so they can isolate the impact of the environment itself,
I see.
which is incredibly valuable for this kind of study.
That makes sense.
So what did they find?
I'm curious.
They discovered that even a tiny improvement in a neighborhood's walkability,
Mm-hmm.
just a 1% increase, led to a 0.42% increase in how much people in that neighborhood walked.
So a small change, but still
Yeah.
a measurable one.
I mean, that might not sound like a lot, but think about it.
Yeah.
If you can encourage even a small increase in walking across entire cities
Right.
or towns,
Yeah.
that can have a significant impact on public health.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, it's a powerful argument for urban planning that prioritizes pedestrians and walkable spaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine if, simply by changing the way our cities are laid out,
Yeah.
we could nudge people towards a healthier lifestyle.
Interesting.
It's a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
Okay, get ready for this one.
Okay.
Did you know that the soil beneath us is full of antibiotic resistance genes?
What? Really?
We're talking about ARGs. These are snippets of genetic material
Okay.
that can actually make bacteria resistant to the drugs we use to fight infections.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, it's not great,
Yeah.
but it's a reminder that the ground beneath our feet is teeming with microscopic life.
Right. We don't even think about it.
You're right.
We're walking on it all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
These ARGs can come from a variety of sources.
Okay.
Bacteria themselves,
Okay.
but also from human activities like agriculture
Mm-hmm.
and wastewater treatment.
Yeah.
So the worry is that human activity might be accelerating the spread of these genes,
Right.
potentially making it harder to treat infections in the future.
So it's like we're contributing to the problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's a bit unsettling
It is. Yeah.
to think that something as simple as soil could play a role in the global threat of antibiotic resistance.
It really emphasizes just how interconnected everything is.
Yeah.
Human health, environmental health, it's all part of the same system.
It is all connected.
It really is.
Okay, speaking of health, let's talk about a serious condition called diabetic cardiomyopathy.
Okay.
This is a heart condition. That affects people with both type 1 and type 2 diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's often underdiagnosed.
Oh, wow.
And this is a particularly concerning condition because it's a leading cause of death
Really?
among individuals with diabetes.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, and frustratingly, there's currently no specific treatment
Okay.
or approved clinical protocol for it.
So what can people with diabetes do to protect themselves?
Well, the best defense is early diagnosis and careful management of diabetes itself.
Okay.
Controlling blood sugar levels, maintaining a healthy weight, regular exercise.
Right. The usual good advice.
All those good things are crucial steps in reducing the risk of developing this serious condition.
Yeah. Prevention's always the best medicine.
Right.
Right.
Okay, this next one is really intriguing to me.
Okay.
Apparently, brain tumors can hijack our internal body clocks.
What? How does that even work?
Well, every cell in our bodies operates on a roughly 24-hour cycle.
Right. Our circadian rhythm.
Right. This internal clock regulates everything from sleep-wake cycles to hormone production.
It's amazing how much it controls.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It turns out that brain tumors can disrupt this intricate system,
Really?
potentially using it to fuel their own growth.
Oh, so they're like manipulating time to their advantage.
It's like our bodies are working on a schedule, and these tumors are like messing with the timetables.
That's crazy.
I know, it's incredible.
It is.
And it opens up this fascinating area of research.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could develop therapies that target the tumor's ability to manipulate time.
Ow.
It's a completely new approach to treating cancer.
Almost like science fiction.
I know, right?
Yeah,
It's pretty wild.
it is.
All right, let's shift gears again.
Okay.
Let's talk about air pollution.
Oh.
I think we all know it's bad for us.
Yeah, for sure.
But a recent study confirms a link between long-term exposure and an increased risk of blood clots.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, they followed over 6,600 adults for an average of 17 years and found that those exposed to higher levels of air pollution had a greater chance of developing deep vein thrombosis,
Right.
which is a serious condition where blood clots form in the deep veins.
Usually in the legs, right?
Usually in the legs, exactly.
Yeah, and if those clots break free, they can travel to the lungs,
Right.
causing a pulmonary embolism, which can be fatal.
Yeah, so it's
So
just,
that's definitely something we want to avoid.
yeah, on top of all the other reasons to care about clean air,
Exactly.
we can add blood clot prevention to the list.
Add it to the list for sure.
Okay, this next one might make you reach for the medicine cabinet a little more cautiously.
Oh, no. What is it?
A new study suggests that for people over 65
Okay.
taking paracetamol,
Mm-hmm.
you might know it as acetaminophen,
Right.
repeatedly
Mm.
could increase the risk of some serious complications.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, this research found a potential link between repeated paracetamol use and problems with the gastrointestinal tract,
Okay.
cardiovascular system,
Mm-hmm.
and even kidney function.
So pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
Now, it's important to note this doesn't mean everyone over 65 should avoid paracetamol entirely,
Right.
but it does highlight the need for careful monitoring,
Yeah.
especially for those managing chronic pain conditions like osteoarthritis.
So talk to your doctor.
Right? Talk to your doctor. Always a good
Yeah.
idea.
Always a good idea.
Okay, let's end this section on a little bit of a more positive note.
Okay. Good.
Scientists have made a fascinating discovery about empathy.
Empathy. Okay.
That ability to understand and share the feelings of others.
Right.
They've identified a specific brain mechanism involved in how we react to other people's emotions.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, so what's really exciting about this is that it could offer valuable insights into psychiatric disorders where social cognitive skills are impaired,
Okay.
conditions like autism
Right.
or schizophrenia.
Yeah.
If we can pinpoint the neural pathways involved in empathy, we might be able to develop new therapies to help individuals struggling with these conditions.
Oh, that would be incredible.
It is amazing to think that we can literally see empathy happening in the brain.
That's wild.
I know, right?
It is.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah.
There's so much more to learn about how our brains work and how we connect with each other.
Absolutely. So much we don't know yet.
Isn't that exciting?
It is. Yeah, it's what keeps me going. It really is amazing, right? Like the brain is so complex, and every time we learn something new, it just opens up so many more questions.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of new discoveries, this next one is, well, this is a little bit heavy.
Okay.
Research suggests that being born prematurely can have lasting effects well into adulthood.
Really?
Yeah, even increasing the risk of death from accidents, suicide, and drug abuse.
Wow. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it's often overlooked, but the study highlighted that women born prematurely face a significantly higher suicide risk.
Oh, wow.
It's a stark reminder that this population might need additional support and mental health resources.
Right, like as they're going through, adolescence, young adulthood,
Yeah,
all of that.
exactly. All those challenging times.
It's really tough, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Um, okay, let's go to the Mediterranean now.
Okay.
Sounds nice, right?
Always.
Warmer than here.
Definitely.
So researchers there are excited about a group of plants that show potential for improving cardiovascular health.
Oh, interesting.
So not just talking like your average herbs and spices here.
Right.
These plants contain potent compounds with documented effects on various heart conditions.
Like what?
Well, think of olive oil,
Okay.
rich in antioxidants,
Right.
or grapes, which contain resveratrol,
Yeah.
a compound linked to improved blood flow.
So delicious, Andy. Good for you.
I know I've always loved Mediterranean cuisine,
You too?
but now we have even more reason to enjoy it.
It's a win-win.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of promising treatments,
Okay.
there's a new compound called SYM 2081
Okay.
that's creating quite a buzz in the dermatology world.
Oh, really? What for?
It shows real promise in treating rosacea,
Oh, interesting.
which is a common inflammatory skin condition.
Yeah, a lot of people suffer with that.
I know, and it can be so frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's special about this new compound?
Well, SYM 2081 works by inhibiting mast cells,
Okay.
which are key players in the inflammatory response.
So they're like calming down the inflammation.
Exactly. By calming down these mast cells, the compound can reduce the redness bumps and swelling associated with rosacea.
That's great.
Yeah, it could be a real game changer for people struggling with this condition.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay, this next story might spark some debate.
Ooh. Okay.
An Australian court dismissed a case against a doctor who publicly spoke out against the COVID-19 vaccine.
Interesting.
So this ruling is being hailed as a major victory for free speech advocates in the medical field.
Okay.
It kind of reaffirms that medical professionals should be able to express their professional opinions,
Yeah.
even if those opinions go against the mainstream. So, of course, it's a complex issue.
For sure.
Strong feelings on all sides.
Absolutely.
But it does raise interesting questions about, the balance between public health messaging, scientific consensus, and individual freedom of expression.
Right. It's a tough one.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of different perspectives, a medical expert has put forward this fascinating theory about the cause of many benign gynecological conditions.
Okay. I'm listening.
So this expert suggests that many conditions that we often consider benign might actually stem from damage to what they call lost autonomic pelvic nerves.
Lost pelvic nerves.
Yeah, it's a new idea.
What does that even mean?
So these nerves are responsible for a variety of functions in the pelvic region,
Okay.
and damage to them could lead to a whole host of problems.
So instead of treating the symptoms, we should be looking at this underlying nerve damage.
That's what they're suggesting, yeah.
Wow, that's a completely different way of thinking about these conditions.
It's a pretty radical shift in perspective.
Mhm.
And if it proves to be true, it could really revolutionize how we approach diagnosis and treatment
For how many people?
for millions of women.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's mind-blowing to think that so many common conditions could have this completely different root cause.
Yeah, we always assume we know what's going on, but
Right.
maybe we don't.
Maybe we don't.
Yeah.
Okay, this last one really hit home for me.
Okay.
It's about the impact of cancer on the partners and caregivers of those going through treatment.
Oh, yeah. That's such an important topic.
It is. It is.
Okay.
And, we often focus so much on the patient,
Right, of course.
but it's so important to remember that cancer affects everyone in the patient's life.
Absolutely. It's not just the individual, it's the whole family, the whole support system.
Right.
Yeah.
So this study found that partners of breast cancer survivors often report high levels of psychological distress,
Okay.
including anxiety, depression, and even PTSD.
Wow.
They live with a constant fear of cancer recurrence, and they often bear a significant burden of caregiving responsibilities.
It's a lot to carry.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So it really underscores the need for comprehensive support systems that address the needs of both patients and their loved ones.
Absolutely. We can't forget the caregivers.
Right.
They need support too.
They do.
Yeah.
So after this whirlwind tour of discoveries,
Uh-huh.
what stands out to you the most?
Yeah, it really is a whirlwind, right?
Yeah, and so much to think about.
Right. Like it's so much information, but it's really the thinking that it makes you do that. That's really the exciting part.
That's true. So like, it's not just about, accumulating all these facts,
Hmm.
but it's about how those facts then kind of make us look at the world differently.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe this whole deep dive has just like sparked a question in your mind that
Yeah.
you never would have thought of before,
Right.
or something that you want to go and like read about and learn more about.
Yeah. Or even just look at like your own daily choices a little differently.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, what you eat, how you get around, even like what medicines you take.
Yeah, it really makes you think
It does. It does.
about the impact of all those things.
And it makes you realize like how we're all connected, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's this complex web of life. And even small choices can have these ripple effects.
Absolutely. And that's a powerful thing to realize.
It is. It is. And it just makes me appreciate like the power of knowledge even more
Mm-hmm.
and how important it is to just keep learning, keep questioning, keep exploring.
It really is a lifelong journey, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And I think in a world that's just like overflowing with information these days,
Oh, for sure.
the ability to think critically, connect the dots, and stay curious,
Yeah.
that's more valuable than ever.
Absolutely. So to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
keep diving deep.
Keep learning.
You never know what amazing discoveries await you just below the surface.
That's right.